Good day and welcome to the Dimension Tents and Structures video training tutorial for our sidewalls. Today we're going to be demonstrating the two different styles of sidewalls that we are producing at Dimension Tents. Number one being the floating sidewall system, where the corners of the tents are set up and raised at 2.5 meters above ground. And secondly, a 10 by 15 setup where the corners have been dropped and pinned directly to the ground. Step number one when we are installing our sidewall system is we obviously make sure all our sidewalls are pieced together in the correct order. So we are starting with our screens laid out on the floor here in front of us. We've obviously checked that our side screen has got a starting height of 2.5 meters. Where our next screen joins, we have a 3-meter screen and then tapering down to 2.5 meters on the far opposite corner. So firstly, step number one when we're going through this process is we're going to take our top corner of the screen and we're going to pull it up and attach it to our corner ring on our stretch tent. Secondly, we'll go to the far opposite side of the tent and we'll repeat the same process with connecting the corner of the screen onto the far opposite corner ring of the stretch tent. We have one of our riggers positioned on a ladder in the center of the screen, and he's going to help pull the screen and support it up and attach it onto the circumference rope using our adjuster clips. We are temporarily tensioning all these little tensioning buckles along the full perimeter of the screen. So this supports the tent and aligns it nicely so that we can obviously thread the female cader rope through. Now that we have all our adjuster clips attached to our circumference rope on the perimeter of the tent and our screen is hanging in a position that we are happy with and aligning nicely between our outside poles on our corners, we then go and we attach an 8mm rope onto the corner point of the tent, and you're going to be threading it between the female cader loops on the screens and then the female cader loop on the underneath side of the patch. We're going to continue this process down the full perimeter of the tent. We are just demonstrating a slightly different system. So as you can see, we've got our female cader loop on the tent with our perimeter rope running the full length through the loops. As you can see in this demonstration, the screen has not been joined onto the 8mm rope that is running through the lugs in the tent. Some of our customers prefer this method as it is slightly quicker and easier to rig in certain instances. So basically what we are using here, on the inside of the tent we have our little small white webbing loop. Onto that we have some small stainless steel carabiners fitted. So this system is quite simple. What we do here is we'll just take the carabiner and the loop and we pull it up and we clip it onto our 8mm perimeter rope to give you that nice seal along the top of the tent. We'll then repeat this process along the full top perimeter of the screen. So once we've obviously woven and threaded the 8mm rope between the female cader loops on the tent and the female cader loops on the screen, we then tension the rope to the opposite corner. Obviously on tensioning the rope, it pulls the screen up and it closes the gap along the top of the screen. So the next step with installing the screens is we need to put a peg on the left and right bottom corners of the screen. These two left and right pegs will basically pull and tension the screen down to a point where it will be anchored. We will then run an 8mm guide rope through the full bottom length of the screen, threading it through the female cader loops that are stitched onto the bottom of the screen. So as you can see, we have put our corner peg in and we've secured the bottom corner of our screen. We have run our 8mm rope through the female cader loops in the bottom of the screen, and we have stopped the rope here where our zip is on the door. The reason for this is so that we don't have a continuous rope running the full length, and that we are able to open our door independently without having to loosen the whole bottom of the tent. We have our peg in the ground. We have our 8mm rope running through our female cader loops on the tent. We have just put a simple hitch into our 8mm rope. We can put a carabiner on there, clip our rope on, and then we can tension it to our peg, and we can finish the rope off nicely. If there is a lot of wind or high wind area, you can find another intermediate middle point, and you can install a secondary peg to secure the bottom of the screen. In an instance where you may be installing side screens over a wooden floor or deck, what you can do is you can install a little foldable saddle on the floor or a little hoop iron. Take your adjuster strap, put it through the hoop that's installed on your wooden floor, and then back up through your adjuster clip. What that will obviously do is secure your adjuster strap down onto your wooden floor, and then you can tension it without the use of a peg. In the middle of the tent here, we have a door that can obviously open up and lead to the outside of the tent. We want this door to be able to roll up and create an entranceway to the inside of the tent. So what we do in a situation like this is we'll take our steel peg. We generally use slightly shorter pegs for when you're putting in screen because there's limited amount of tension on them. So we'll install a peg just to the side of the opening zip, and then once again, like we did on the right hand side, is we'll run our 8mm rope between the peg through the female cader loops to the corner of the screen. Now you can see we've tensioned our guide rope through the bottom of the screen. We've started from the door, we've ended on the corner, but we can see that there's still a bit too much movement in the bottom of the screen. So now we're going to find our next midpoint. We're going to install another short peg, and then from that short peg we'll be able to secure and pull the screen downwards. And then quite easily you just take your 8mm rope, you pull it down, and you hook it under your peg to give you a nice secure bottom. Okay, following that step, we have all these adjusters that we spoke about earlier. So with these adjusters, what I generally do when we are staking the bottom is we just loop it behind our 8mm rope, feed it through, and you can apply a bit of tension. Once you've done that along the full perimeter of your screen, you can just neatly just try and wrap up and finish off the excess of the webbing strap. So now that the screens are hanging and fitting nicely onto the tent, we just basically move all along the front outside perimeter, neatening up and adjusting all our adjuster clips. So when we installed the screen originally, we had temporarily put them on. Now we can obviously just take up any slack that there might be in the screen and neatly roll up all the excess. We'll basically follow this process along the full perimeter of the screen at the top, and this just helps if the ground is a little bit uneven and you're getting a bit of wrinkles in the screen. You can tension the screen up, or you could release a bit of tension and drop it down. Next, where all your 3-meter perimeter poles stand, you'll see in the center of the screen you've got another crocodile clip with an adjuster on. So basically this is to stop the screen bouncing backwards and forwards. So what we do is we pull it to a tension that we are happy with, and then we'll just put it through our adjuster clip here. So quite a simple process. Through the adjuster clip, get it to the height that you're happy with, adjust the screen to a tension that it's sitting comfortably at, and then finish the rope off. Yeah, we've obviously got another second adjuster clip a little bit higher up. That one will obviously need a ladder to do. But then again, on the bottom of the screen, we've got our second adjuster. So as you can see, we've got our perimeter rope running through the bottom of the screen, ending by the peg over here. We've put peg covers on there, so to avoid any tripping hazards. Peg cover here, and our perimeter rope running through the screen, keeping the base tension to the ground. You can see here, we've got our zips in the door, so we can basically unzip and open up the side of the tent. And then basically we use a simple rolling technique. We roll it up into a nice tight coil, and then we use the above J hooks to secure the screen comfortably at the top. So there we go, we've got our simple J hook and D ring. The screen gets rolled up into a little coil. The tassel comes from the inside, and the J hook will clip onto the D ring at the top, holding the screen nicely in place. So once again, very easy to just release the screen. You just unclip your J hooks and we just lower the screen down, and we've got our simple zip, and we just zip the screen down once again. Giving you a nice, secure, warm, cozy environment with inside the tent. Sorted. Opposed to the other setup style that we previously looked at, you can see that on this set of sidewalls, the corners are pinned directly to the ground, with a 3-meter pole left and right of the main center screen, with the outside screens dipping down to a sharp point on the corners. On all tents manufactured by Dimension Tents, we have our standard patch system. The patch system comes with a female cader loop on, which is either used for joining two tents together when you insert a gutter between two joined tents. Alternatively, when we are fitting sidewalls onto the tent. So over here on the sidewall, you'll see we've got a basic seatbelt webbing loop. We call it a female cader. Below that, we have a slightly thinner loop that has been installed onto the tent. And over here, you can see the female cader loop on the patch of the tent. The use of this loop is so you can install a small stainless steel carabiner, which you basically clip onto the loop. This will save you the hassle of having to weave the 8mm rope between the female cader patch on the tent and the female cader loop on the screen. So basically, using this carabiner system, you'll just run your rope straight through the patches in the tent, and then you take the little carabiner, you'll pull it up, and you clip your blind onto the perimeter 8mm rope. Here we're going to explain some of the bottom finishes and features of our sidewalls. So as you can see here, we have a pole sleeve stitched along the full length of the screen. Here you can fit a 50mm weight bar, which obviously assists with rolling the screen up as well as weighting the screen down. You will see we again have our female cader loops running every 50 centimeters along the bottom of the screen, through which we can install an 8mm rope. Now we're going to have a look at some of the exterior finishes of the screens. As you can see again, this is the screen tapered down to the corner with our drop corners. So all along the perimeter of the tent, we have a little tensioner buckles. So basically with our tensioner buckles, the rope comes out, over your circumference rope of the tent, feed it through your tensioner buckle, and then you can adjust your screen to where it feels right and the tension is sitting good on it. And then obviously with the excess rope, we just fold it and we finish it up nice and neatly. On the centers of all our screens, by each perimeter pole, you'll see that we have a Velcro flap with a zip behind it. This will allow each individual screen to be zipped open. But obviously now for the demonstration, we're going to obviously demo it closed. So the flap gets closed over the zip. The Velcro flap obviously protects the zip from being able to pop open. And then a little bit lower down your pole, you have another tensioner buckle. So this tensioner buckle simply comes out, wrap it around the pole, into the buckle, and you tighten it to your desired tension. Thank you for taking the time to watch our Dimension 10's screens training tutorial. We've been developing these screens for a number of years, and they've become a really valuable part of our setup itinerary.